Last night I was checking my fan mail and a young lady wrote me. And most of the time I miss most of my fan mail. I get 300 or 400 pieces of viewer mail a day. But this young lady, I just happened to catch her letter. And she said that she was contemplating suicide. And that she had attempted it before in her life. And I've been unsuccessful. But that's a weird definition of unsuccessful considering she's still alive. But she was thinking about doing it again. And she'd watched my video on the topic of suicide several times, and that it helped her. And I wanted to write her back and tell her a few things. And I realized that maybe that's information we could all use. With this time of year, with the tragedies that are going on in the world, with just the world in general being what it is, maybe it's something we could all benefit from hearing. So I gave her all the advice that I had when I was suicidal, when I was very, very unhappy, when I thought about checking out early, and now I want to pass it on to you. But first, I'd like to start by saying that if you need somebody to talk to, and I'm unavailable, and I don't see your emails, and you don't have a loved one that you want to talk to about it, there are plenty of resources. I like to use the Hope Line, and you'll find them at hopeline.com. They're excellent in helping you find some temporary relief, finding you resources in the area to find permanent relief, and helping you find hope. There's also, in every country, a national hotline for suicide prevention, and there are plenty of sub-forums and forums and things on the internet that allow you to talk to other people who are feeling the way that you're feeling. I personally used the subreddit depression. Those guys have been phenomenal and instrumental at keeping me sane, and I really appreciate them, and I think you should stop by there sometime. That said, I'd like to tell you that I too have lived a life of pain. And for me, not just physical pain because of the body that I'm in, but that's a big part of it, but the mental anguish that comes with being in this body and people torturing me or being cruel to me because I look and act different. Not only that, but I grew up in an abusive home, so I suffered from child abuse, both mental and physical, on an almost always daily basis. And that was for the first 18 years of my life. And I'm 38 now, but I still carry it with me. And I'd like to say that that pain goes away, but I can't. Because that pain is still with me, and I still carry it with me. And it's still part of my heart and part of my mind. And it affects me fairly often still. But there are days that I don't think about it. There are weeks that I don't think about it. And earlier this year, there were just a couple of months that it just never crossed my mind. It was never part of my brain. And what I'm trying to say is, even if that pain never goes away, maybe it's the pain of burying somebody you love, or losing that girl or guy that you absolutely wanted to be with, or that job opportunity or something, failure. That pain may never go away, but you will learn to live with it. You will learn to make room for it and still have plenty of room for the joy and happiness that you deserve. Just the same way someone in a terrible accident who loses their arm or loses their leg learns to live with that disability, you can learn to live with that debilitating pain. I have. And if I can, I think that you can too. I want to tell you that there's no reason to leave this earth early. Primarily because you don't know what happens when you die. We don't know. We can't know. All signs point to blinking out of existence. Whatever energy that makes up your consciousness just being reabsorbed. And that may be true, but if you're a religious person, and I'm not saying I am or not, you might believe in heaven. But you also might believe in hell. You might believe in reincarnation. And that means there's a limitless number of possibilities that could be waiting for you. Some better, some worse. Do you really want to trade this known for that unknown? Because it's not logical to do that. Specifically when that unknown could be worse. Nothing is worse than something. And hell speaks for itself. Even worse, to me, is what if it's the same life all over again, and you have to experience this pain brand new and fresh all over for the first time? Reincarnation is a bitch, and I wouldn't risk it. You have potential here in this life to be happy, to achieve the things you want, to find the person you want to be with, to start a family. Maybe you don't want to be with family. Maybe you don't want to be with anybody. Maybe you don't want to have that night. Whatever your dreams are, you have the opportunity to make your dreams come true here. And why trade that opportunity for nothing? This is all you know you'll get. This. So take advantage of it. Live it to its maximum. And I'll tell you something else. Once you are ready to die, once you've fully accepted that you're going to die one day, and death is inevitable, what you're wanting right now on some level, it's going to come to you free of charge, without effort, it's on its way. Why not live this life to its fullest potential between now and that time to see as much as you can achieve? Because when you finally accept, I'm a dead man walking, you're free. You're free to try anything. That girl you want to talk to, so what if she says no? You'll die one day anyway. That job, that career that you want to try to get, what if I can't get a job as a marine biologist? Who cares? You'll die anyway. No matter what you want to try to do, you know that if you fall flat on your ass, there will be freedom from that failure. So why not try? I'd also like to tell you that I was suicidal for a very, very long time. I considered it greatly in 2009 when my mother passed. I considered it in 2001 when my father passed. I considered it many, many times as a young adult. And I considered it almost daily as a teenager. And I've lived in spite of it. I lived partially because of it. The success that I have now, it has a lot to do with the strength that was given to me by learning to fight that. And learning to teach other people to fight it too. And if I hadn't held on, if I hadn't fought for the things that I wanted, for the things I fucking deserve, I wouldn't be as happy as I am today. And I know you look at me and you see a fat sack of turd. That's okay. Some of you are going to see that. I get that. And I'm not as happy as I could be. I'm not in the body that I want to be. I don't have $1 billion in the bank. I'm not capable of volunteering 24 hours a day to help other people. I don't have all the things that I'd want. But I have so many wonderful things that I didn't have when I was suicidal. So many wonderful things I didn't have when I was depressed. And if I'd not chosen to fight for those things, I would have never known what it was like to have them. The only life I would have known a life that was filled with misery, but also filled with a little bit of joy. I would have only known a life filled with misery. My life would have been sad and short. And instead, it's one that I'm so happy to have now that I feel like celebrating almost every day. And when those ghosts of the past crop up in the back of my head and they say, Steve, what about that one time you got cut? What about the one time you got stomped on? What about the one time that you got burnt? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about all the wonderful luxuries that I have? Because chances are, and I have to tell you this, chances are if you're watching this on a computer screen somewhere, maybe on your television that's internet ready, maybe on your cell phone, maybe on your tablet, no matter where you're watching this from, chances are, if you're seeing this, you're one of the most privileged human beings to live today, to have ever lived. You have more opportunity in front of you than our ancestors could have imagined. You probably live right now like a king did 200 years ago, with unimaginable wealth. Take advantage of that. You owe it to yourself to make the most of this life. You owe it to the people around you to make the most of this life. You owe it to your ancestors. And finally, I'd like to close by saying that suicide is the most selfish act a person can perform. Because all of the pain that you feel inside you right now today, when you choose to end it, to put yourself out of that misery, that pain doesn't just disappear, but you transfer it to every person you know. Okay, maybe you and your parents don't get along so well. Maybe they're gone, so you don't care if they suffer. What about your friends? What about your other family members? What about that guy you play Call of Duty with on Xbox? What about your classmates? What about the people at work? What about me? Because I count on you to view my videos, to talk to me, to be here for me. What happens to even me? You cause pain to every single one of those people. You take all that pain that's inside you and you hand it out individually to every person that ever cared about you. And the more they care about you, the more amplified that pain is inside them. So at the very least, you owe it to the people around you to try. And I'll close with a remark that I closed with last night. The truth of the matter is, maybe you are in a lot of pain. Maybe your situation really sucks. Maybe you suffer from deep depression. Maybe you've had a bad lot in life like maybe I have. But so what? God or fate or nature or random chance put your life on hard mode. Who gives a shit? Beat the game anyway.